believe, and I love you. And what do you think about that, Evan?
I'll let that one sit for a little bit. I'll get back to you.
We're still waiting for you to get back to us on your builder beast. And
That's
no,
true.
the owl bear does not count. And
This is
no,
true.
that crab thing that you sent us does not count. And those manticores don't count.
You anticipated my next question. I think the manticore should count.
Should they? Okay, if you could make that into a builder that really represents you, I will accept it.
Yeah, I think there's room here. I think we can turn one of these into a solid builder that
Which one would
works
you?
in this world.
Which one would you pick?
Probably this one.
Would it draw with its tail?
I don't.
Be a drawer
I
just
don't.
like
I
you?
don't. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Nerd. Well, we do have to get started with our typical music. There's people piling in, so we do have the song ready.
Got to give the people what they want.
You know? But you know what? You know what, man? I actually think there's a better song. I think there's a better song to kick off today.
No.
I think that song is this. I'll start it. We had our lovely illustrator.
Casey, I blame you for this.
Has helped us grow this as a collaborative 3-person effort. We are a team of 3, and we care about each of us equally. One of us had a birthday this week.
Ugh.
It's not me. It's not Matt. It's Evan. Matt and I are going to go back and forth singing happy birthday. And if you come into the chat, make sure you wish Evan happy birthday. Make sure you tag him. Tell me something you really love about Evan. Evan likes the attention. So maybe talk about a memory that you share with Evan. But I'm going to kick it off. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Evan.
Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
There you go,
Happy birthday.
You good now? You get that out of your system?
And many more.
No. We also thought it would be enjoyable. Yes, we're going to talk about a protagonist that we have of our upcoming origin novel, Account of Argus. That's what we're going to spend most of today talking about. I'm going to interview Matt. We're going to learn a little bit about Argus and his calling, his first calling, Rastin. We were also thinking of what an antagonist might look like. And you know, Matt and I, we went to AI prompts was the first thing we went to. We love them. And we asked, spit us out an antagonist, you know, someone that would, you know, kind of pull the strings from behind the scenes. What would this antagonist look like? And this is what we got. This is actually the first picture that Midjourney just actually popped out. They made this themselves, thought about it completely themselves. This is our antagonist. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I've made such a big mistake.
We hate AI. We hate AI. We are Team Evan. This is Evan. This is the person we never get to see. This is the guy whose birthday it is, and this is the reason. Unfound is what it is, Evan.
Technically, this was me 12 years ago, so I don't know what I look like now. Yeah.
I thought you looked kind of like this with a little bit longer hair when I met you in San Francisco. Little bit. Yeah? You think?
I'll take that as a compliment. I'll take it.
It is a compliment. You know what I wish we didn't do? I think I even texted you after we finally met in San Francisco. We didn't take a single picture with each other.
This is true.
Is that going according to plan for you?
I mean, I'm not going to say it was by design, but it was definitely a perk, I would say, a positive, an upside to the meeting.
Would you have accepted it if in the moment I'm like, dude, we need to get a picture? Let's get a picture. Would you have at least accepted it?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. It depends on when you catch me.
Yeah, looking back I think you would have said yes, just because it's like we were so early in the process. We were talking dreams and stuff, and you probably liked me a little bit more. But looking back, like that would have been, I'm like, why didn't I ask him to get a picture? I was also thinking, I'm like, there was a chance he said no, and that would have been really uncomfortable for our relationship moving forward. I think so.
You can't take a little bit of rejection in with you know, collaborative partnership.
No, if you know if you know anything of my background, I am not great with rejection. Can't deal with it. Welcome. I'm in sales is my background. Welcome everyone. Casey, what's up? He's already sending OMGs looking at old pictures of Evan. Today we're chatting origin novel. We're chatting Argus, who will be the early savior of Bastunia, a character that gets very close to the god Buntu that is also now getting close with Joan. We'll talk Kickstarter updates. Good news there. We'll talk Kickstarter stretch goals. We'll talk about other Kickstarters to support. So stay, grab a drink, hang for a little bit, or if you're Casey's significant other, grab a tub of ice cream. You know, that's totally fine too. We're actually going to shout Casey out for some of his work. I got to meet him yesterday, Evan. Super nice.
Oh, really?
Guy. Yeah. We jumped on a call because he had some questions on like these beast ability pictures that we're doing in the Facebook page. He said he asked you, and he's like, how do you think Dylan wants to use these and this, and this? And he's like, Evan responded back and was like, I have no idea. And I'm like, yeah, that seems like par for the course. He's like, so I decided to reach out to you. So he reached out to me. We jumped on a call for like probably 30 minutes. Casey, would you say? Cool dude. Love the work that he's putting in. We're gonna actually show off one of his drawings because it was unreal. But that's today. That's what we're gonna do. Feel free to ask any questions. If you're new, welcome. There is no such thing as a bad question. People come here and they ask us questions about the collaborative creation process, about what we're looking to do. If you're new to this and you're like, who the hell are you guys? Swear number one for Dylan. Who the hell are you guys? Swear number two for Dylan. And what are you building? How did you start? If you want to ask about the creation process, if you want to ask about the story itself, if you want to ask about how to draw from Evan, how to write from Matt, how to make a fool of yourself from Dylan, we answer those questions. Lore, timeline, all that stuff. I'm going to quit talking. Matt, am I missing anything for what we're going to chat about today? Or anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered it. I've got some things pulled up to guide us through a conversation about Argus and what we're seeing here, but that's all. You covered it.
Awesome. So let's kind of start with today's all about Argus. Argus is a protagonist. We have an upcoming novel. For those that have been following us, we have our main comic, which takes place about 300 years into the known history of Bastunia. We're at like what, 292, 293, I think, Matt?
Yeah, 293.
1 second, I'm waving to the person that said hello. For some reason, I can't. I think you have to link Facebook to StreamYard for us to see your name. So, hello.
That's Dougie Fresh right there.
Love you, Dad. Biggest supporter. James, actually based off James, which is happening. Current story, year 292. We follow Joan. We follow Artie. We follow James. Joan and James don't have a great connection. Joan gets this calling around year 13 of her life, and the whole story takes place and starts running off. But we are now creating an origin novel. So instead of a comic, it will be a full novel. It's going to be coming out, you want to say what, Matt? May? April, May?
I feel comfortable. Yeah, I feel comfortable saying May. I've never been on deadline before, man. I was telling Dylan earlier last month, like it's such a dream come true, and I hate it. I've never been on deadline. It's just like, ooh, it's different.
Yeah, it's the worst.
How much do you like it, Evan?
I mean, it's the worst. It's the worst. Let's be real. I mean, it's everyone who gets into the creative industries or tries to make a living off of it dreams of that day when they're on deadline, and then you don't really realize or appreciate until you're in the thick of it just how much it really messes with your head. I mean, if you're not careful about it, especially if you're like 20 something and don't know how to conduct yourself as an adult yet, it's really easy to find yourself like sitting on the couch with a significant other watching TV, and you're thinking, I could be making X number of dollars instead of watching this 90-minute movie. And it's really hard to shake that thought, especially if, like most creatives, you are not paid particularly well. So, I have my thoughts on it.
I
Not all of them
would
healthy.
love to go deeper into this as well. We can go into Matt. Do you think it makes sense to go into this more? Or should we talk back about Argus? Because I'm on the other side of it. I hate being that person. I feel like because I'm not the illustrator, because I'm not the writer, right? I'm the plotter of this. I put things together. I storyboard books. I'm the project manager, and I hate it. I also hate it. It sucks when I have to like message you guys and say, "All right, how's deadlines coming? Are we going to this? Because people are expecting books this way." It's tough. Why do we do it, Matt? What are your thoughts? Why do we do this to ourselves?
Yeah, well, I've been part of so many groups of people that they have this great creative idea. We were out at the bar, we're talking about something. Oh yeah, like let's rally together and let's actually write that screenplay. What a good idea we just had. And nobody ever brings the group back together. I think that's an unappreciated position to be in. It's not a fun position, dude. I know that
It's also not appreciated.
It's what?
It's also
not
not
appreciated.
appreciated.
You don't feel appreciated, Dylan?
I don't want to say from you guys. We don't want to get into our friendship here. By the way, Evan actually started giving me ideas on Brudders, my little side business, like just talking random stuff. So I believe we're moving into friendship.
You can take the product designer out of product design. You can't take the product design out of the product designer.
I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm not saying it's unappreciated. It's just it's uncomfortable, right? Like I'm not like excited to be like, yeah, are we on deadline? I can't wait to hear back from you guys. It's uncomfortable, is what it is. How does it feel on your end? Why do you still do it, Matt?
Why do I still what? Do what?
Why do you still decide to write and stay on deadline when we have a team of like holding each other to deadlines and stuff like that? Because like you said, it's not fun.
Yeah, I love what we're building. I mean, it's and it's worthwhile. It's the idea of being counterculture to this, like, you backed a Kickstarter a year and a half ago, and you're like twiddling your thumbs, waiting for it to be delivered. It's like, I think a lot of it is, what experiences do I get? Do I receive? And I don't want to ever make people feel that way. And so I want to put this together. I am excited about it. I'm working on it. I'm passionate about it, but I want to deliver an experience that people think, wow, like next time they do a Kickstarter, I'm backing. Next time they write a book, I'm buying, because they just such high quality and they just over deliver.
Yeah.
It's an identity thing too.
I've backed a few Kickstarters and I still haven't received my rewards from it. And I backed like a year ago. And then in my mind, I go, do I get these? Do I not get these? Evan, why do you still do it? Even though like that's like I like to say it's like the 80-20.
I have 20%, no idea.
I feel. Okay, cool. Great answer.
I do it because, for those who know what my day job is, it's not my choice of source of fulfillment. I'll say that about it. And so I get fulfillment from doing stuff like this. But in having a day job now and no longer being a full-time artist, I can't get the kind of work that I used to get because I can't commit full-time hours to contracts. And so there aren't a whole lot of people willing to pay, what market rates are for a part-timer or for a full-on freelancer. And I don't necessarily do it for the money anymore anyway. I do it because I like to do it and I love to do it. And I love to be with people who want to be there and work on projects that they care about. So, a lot of the way I approach the work has changed over the years. Some of it is by necessity, because like I said, you can't really do the kind of work that I used to do or that I set out to do when I started in these kind of industries. But also it's a very different like timber of working with independent creatives who may or may not have any idea what they're doing as far as like publishing and marketing and talking to industry partners goes. It's a whole different kind of journey, and it's fun to be a part of.
Last question I have for Evan, and if anyone else has questions, feel free to rifle them in the chat, and then we'll come to the story, Matt, because I see that you're bringing up the Sophistra here. Someone's looking to get into drawing, illustrating, and getting paid for it, right? We've talked before of like, how do you start practicing the craft? And you've given ideas and just starting drawing in nature and like kind of weaving it into your day-to-day routine, like just drawing anything, right? Let's say people have done that. Now they're looking to start to put themselves out there. What would you recommend of like where to put yourself out, number one? And then what are the best rates for like, hey, I'll draw X for this rate just to get your foot in the door?
I'm not going to answer the rate question. That's very
Okay.
personal. You know, as much as I could say, oh, the market rate for blah, blah, blah is this, it doesn't really matter if your situation doesn't reflect the market rate. So what I mean there is charge what you feel you deserve to deserve to be paid. And that's really the hardest and most personal question or decision to come to, I guess. It takes a long time to get over, for instance, imposter syndrome and feel like I can't possibly charge that much because I'm not there yet. I'll be there one day, but for now I'm going to charge a quarter of that. It's a really common attitude, and one that, even if you're not the most experienced or advanced, fine. It's great to like realize that and try to be on top of that in an actionable way. But you still don't want to undersell yourself, undercharge your work, undervalue yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As for where to put yourself out there, short answer is everywhere. We live in a dangerous time to put yourself out there, where our digital agency of our work has all but been taken away from us by the current tech ecosystem out there. So, I would definitely recommend tools like Glaze or Nightshade if you're trying to amp up your online visibility and presence. Other than
Casey,
that,
can you put those in the chat? Casey, if you're here, Glaze and Night. I want to make sure I'm spelling them right, and then I can put them up for anyone that might see it. Keep going, Evan. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, and other than that, it's really about making connections. So that might be with independent creators like Matt and Dylan. It might be with other artists or professionals who are out there, all of whom are typically very, very willing to help and offer input and give critique. Obviously don't pester people, don't harass them, but if you reach out to someone and say, I love your work, can I ask you a couple questions, they're more than likely to say yes than they are to say go away. So be open to putting yourself out there in that way. And keep producing work, keep editing your portfolio. Make sure you ask yourself, with any given piece that you choose to put in your portfolio, is this going to add to your professional goal? So finding your professional goal, like, do you want to be a concept artist for video games? Do you want to be a comic artist for a company like Image? Do you want to be, a storyboard artist for, some of the awesome television shows that have emerged out of the animation renaissance lately, et cetera, et cetera? Finding that specific goal can be tough too, but the more that you can curate your portfolio to target that goal, the better off you're going to be.
And do you think the more you continue to draw, the more that becomes a little bit clear for you of what's my end goal?
Yes, I mean, the more you need to get your feet wet to understand what it means to be a concept artist. For instance, a lot of people misunderstand what concept art is, what it's for, or what it is to make it. So yeah, I mean, you're not going to answer that question for yourself by listening to me. You're going to answer it by giving it a shot and trying to engage with it and getting real insight on how your concept work does as far as communicating complex visual ideas simply and clearly to a production pipeline.
I was talking to Casey about this yesterday. I think the most powerful thing you just said there, you did say a lot of really powerful things, but it's like just get started. I think a lot of people don't end up getting started, don't go through some of the crap early on in the process, but then also don't figure this out because they don't stay with it long enough. So if you're looking to get in the art space, just start, continue to put yourself out there. Casey was telling me yesterday, he's like, I just feel like lately I'm hitting my stride, and it's like it's almost like beat my head against a wall for time, and then all of a sudden there's this breakthrough. You don't know when it's going to happen, but again, you're doing stuff that you love. We found Evan on a Facebook group, reached out to him, and if you're someone that's not artistically inclined or artistically talented, one, practice if you want to get better. But if you're going to work with somebody else, pay them their worth. For the love of God, please pay them their worth. Don't get a bunch of free work from them. That's weird. Thank you so much. I'm going to add this in a second. And speaking of actually paying people for their great work, Gold Mountain Games, also an art project that Evan is a part of, Casey is a part of. It is a TTRPG. Is it a D&D-esque book, or is it just for a TTRPG? Evan, tell me a little bit about what you guys are creating at Gold Mountain Games.
Sure. So the core product from Gold Mountain Games, they publish with a number of different partners, but their core product is something called the Salt Reach Isles, which is a tabletop RPG setting. It is system agnostic, which means you can use it with D&D rule sets, or you can use it with Morkborg rule sets, or you can use it with Pathfinder rule sets, etc., etc. So whatever your preferred system is for playing tabletop RPGs. Sorry, talking and drawing at the same time is starting to take its toll. Then you can adapt it for exactly that. It comes with everything that you would need to just take it and run with it and incorporate it into an existing campaign or build a new campaign using its material. And what it is it's one of several zines that collectively constitute the world building and systems building and lore and mechanics for this world of the Salt Reach Isles. So in this case, for instance, it focuses on an elven city, and so as part of the package, you get these subspecies of elves that are unique to Salt Reach Isles. You get subclasses that are unique to the Salt Reach Isles. You get backgrounds and feats and spells and locations and NPCs and points of interest, all that are unique to this city in this setting. That's the idea. This is the second zine of this type that they've put out after working on a source book for the whole world all of last year. And my part with Gold Mountain Games is typically as art director for their in-book artwork. So all of the illustrations and paintings and stuff like that, it passes through me or is produced by me. So I'm really proud of a lot of the work that has gone into it and that has come out of it. And if anyone's interested in supporting it, feel free. I am doing a giveaway right now where of anyone who backs before February 10th is going to be entered into a raffle. Yeah, tomorrow is going to be entered into a raffle to win my Salt Trader print. So if you're interested in that, it's about a $60 value and can be entered to win by backing as little as $1. But that's about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to put it in a term that I would try to grasp is if you're looking to play a D&D game or a Pathfinder game, a tabletop role-playing game, and you need help being like, what world would we be living in this make-believe role-playing game that we're about to play? Let's pick up the Salt Reach Isles from Gold Mountain Games. We learn about the world, we can put you into a situation, and then we can explore this elven world called the Salt Reach Isles through using these books or zines.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, the whole setting, Salt Reach Isles, is a lot more than just elves. It's just that this particular zine is focused on an elven city. Last one was on a gnomish city, so it jumps around.
If you guys are looking looking to get into the D&D space, or if you've been in there for a while and you want a new type of campaign, a new type of world, pick it up, and you get to support amazing artists like Evan, like Casey. Evan, if maybe we can drop a picture of that Salt Trader in
Yeah, I can
in the
probably find
community.
it.
We can show them now, but then maybe drop a link. It
Yeah,
looks like there's
I can
also a link
certainly
in
do
the
that.
there's also a link in the comments that we can check out as well. It's incredible artwork. I love what they're doing over there, and they're going to help us turn Bastunia into a TTRPG as well. So if you're looking to get into the tabletop role-playing game space, check these out. I know we did it. This is his awesome Salt Trader. We did a poll a couple of weeks back saying, would this be something you're interested in for your kids? It's like, yes, I'm already doing this. I would love to do it, but I need to learn more. Not that interested. I'd rather do other things. We had a bunch of people that either already were already doing it or were interested but wanted to learn more. Pick up these. Feel free to pick up back this Kickstarter, pick up the zine, and then bring any questions you might have to these Facebook Lives. Evan would be more than happy to answer, or Casey. Thanks, Evan. Support artists.
Yes.
Speaking of artists, Matt, you're an artist in your own way. You're an artist of the written mastery, and you are working on an origin novel coming out. So I want to ask you some rapid fire questions, and if anyone else has questions on the upcoming origin novel, feel free to ask. Our comic takes place in year 292, 293, right? Of the known timeline.
Yeah.
We have a origin novel coming out called The Account of Argus. When does this take place in the timeline?
Year 35.
All right, so not zero.
Argus, not 0. Argus is 15.
Got it. So that means Argus, our main protagonist that we're having drawn here today, he's born around year 20.
Correct. Good math. Yes.
Thank
Had
you
to
so
check
much.
that for a second.
Very good. So in modern day, we have builders, defenders, and explorers. That's kind of the paths people get put into, and the separation that it leads to, because people get very into just their path. There are not builders, explorers, or defenders in year 20 or 35. What are there?
So, as far as the story is concerned, there's just your calling, and these people that we're telling the story around, we're telling the story through. They are, what we'll come to learn, is part of this mind tribe. They're very much the academic people of the original 99 people that were brought to this planet. So suffice it to say, they all come down. They had a couple of years of peace. Zigra start to disrupt this peace, introduce some fear and some judgment and some division. And the mind tribe, they're like, we don't think our place is here anymore. We're going to go find our own place. And so everybody, for the most part, that you meet, if you wanted to bring up the map, you could. Everybody that we meet in this world, they're just very much like the constantly trying to learn more about the world. That may give them a little bit of an explorer bent to them, but at this point, there's been no analysis of callings as a whole to say that these are the three paths.
Got it. So kind of similar to what we want to get back to in the main story is there's just people in their callings. But separation has occurred in the current time of Bastunia, which is the time of the fall. Before that, there was the time of the crumble, which is where we start to have separation. People start to be born with just one beast. And that is where our TTRPG will be taking place. Casey, I saw you had the question of where will the TTRPG take place? A little bit further back in the timeline where we're at right now, not as far back as Matt.
Is it like 200 something, 250? Is it James?
It's James. I'd probably say James is young here, so we're going to be in the time of like early crumble.
Cool.
And then before crumble, there's the time of order, and before the time of order, there's the time of origin. Correct? Is that how we've set it up, Matt?
Creation is what we call the first epoch.
Creation, origin. Creation, order, crumble, fall. TTRPG will take place in the crumble, and this story takes place in the epoch of creation. People are just born with callings, but separation starts to occur, and the mind tribe exits the main area where everyone lives and comes down to what we're seeing here. Correct?
Their own little Garden of Eden. Yep.
Perfect. And this place is called Sophistra. And what's the other place called, Matt? Because that's a question that we have.
Lady Fair.
Lady Fair. Lady Fair, and the people of it are Lady Fae, right? Like people of Lady Fae are the Lady Fae.
I haven't decided. I mean, maybe Lady Fairyans, Lady Fae. I don't know. I don't know if they really think about that too much.
Okay. And down here in the Sophistra, right, there was original people that were here and people that kind of govern over the Sophistra. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah. So when the decision was made to split off from the original location, it's called Karstis. It's like this city that's north of here. If we pull up the Bastunian map at some point, I'll show you. There's these 7 women, and the 7 women, they style themselves, they call themselves originators. And they are really, they're the leaders. They're the ones that made this decision. And they've come down here and they've established like an academic institution, more or less, or a body that one needs to prove themselves worthy of being a member of. It's like kind of like a fraternity in a sense, except that it's run by all women.
7,
they
you
might
said?
have a word for that. 7 of them. Yeah.
Perfect. So these 7 originators, which are basically academic leader women, have built the foundation of the Sophistra, right?
Yeah.
And in the Sophistra and in Lady Fair, there are definitely just the common folk, right? The hunters, the gatherers, people that, go out, attract or get food, bring it back, go out, gather, come back. But some people gravitate towards the academic way. And this is where we have our main character come in, Argus, right? So Argus is going through, in our origin novel, he's going through these trials. He's basically saying, I don't want to live a life of a commoner. I want to live the life of an academic. I want to get closer to these 7 originators. So he goes through these trials. Tell us a little bit about the trials and like what it's like to progress to this level of godhood, in a sense, with how people look at the originators.
Yeah. So funny. I mentioned it's like a fraternity because I really feel like it models my experience joining a fraternity in college. There's what you start out as if you wanted to join is an aspirant, someone who is aspiring to join, of course. When you get accepted, when you pass these trials, you become what's called a neophyte. I'm not sure what the fight stands for, but it's just, new member, new fight. Then after you've basically the originators form this council, and they're the ones that get to dictate when people have done acts that are worthy of elevating their status. So you work up the rank from neophyte to acolyte to celebrant, and that's the highest that you can rise is a celebrant. If there likely would always be 7 people sitting on this high council, and if an originator were to die, which none of them have, there's still 7, then a celebrant would probably take that seat. So a lot of the people that are joining the Sophistra are aspiring to someday become celebrants.
Got it. So if we were to break this down, I mean, spot on. It's kind of a sorority because there are these women at the top, but men and women can also climb.
Sorority is not right, but it seems like it's right, but it's just
sorority spot on is what I'm hearing from that. But as of right now, there is just female leaders in it. But you start off as an aspirant, which is where Argus is currently. If he gets in, he becomes a neophyte, which is kind of like a new brother to the frat. From a neophyte, you continue to rise in the rankings. You become an acolyte. which is like maybe you're a junior, right? You're kind of like a sophomore junior, but you're in the brotherhood of this frat. And then finally, it's I'll keep saying frat for you. And then finally, it's celebrant, and that's basically the understudy of the originators. Another great. I mean, just because I've been in one, yes, this is exactly what's happening.
Surprise.
It's a pay to play.
Yeah, they have to continue to pay money, and then you build a downline. No, that's not what it is. These people aspire to be at the highest academic level, which would be celebrant currently right now. So take us through, like, why is it Argus wants to be this? Why not just be a common folk? Because if we look at his picture, kind of a buff dude. He could be a really good common folk, hunter gatherer. He's got a little bit of muscle to him. Why does he want to be part of this group?
Yeah, I think where I see myself in this is now at 33, I kind of weirdly aspire to be a farmer, but when I was growing up, the idea of being a farmer was like, yeah, I gotta reach for something, and I want to just keep reaching and keep challenging myself. I think he sees this as, in his limited options in his society, it's like, I could go where all of the common folk end up. Do I choose to go to the place where people end up when they don't reach? Or do I reach? And even if you reach for the wrong thing, I think it's important for him to be challenged and to say, who am I? And, let me test my mettle. And the trials are a great way to do this. He also is kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit chasing a girl, but
kind of. Real quick, everybody. I'm editing. I'm Matt's editor as we go through this because we want to make sure we're not having any plot holes with the world, plot holes with the lore. I feel early on in the editing there was more comments I had to make, but since you and I have been like really keeping the communication high, as I'm now on chapter 13, 14, it's very few. So the only reason I say that is I'm editing. Argus is definitely chasing a woman.
Yeah.
And my thoughts about that woman, I'll save. If you're curious what Dylan's thoughts are about this woman, go ahead, ask in the comments, and I'll answer them.
Yeah, we can save those. You can make your own opinion up of Eugenia. She's just a golden girl. I mean, she's smart. She's beautiful. She's favored by all the originators. They want her to join. All the originators are trying to vie for her to choose their path. Their dedication is what the 7 paths are called. And so he's like, oh, she's doing it. I'll give it a shot. He's not going to end up with her in the end, too, if he just goes and he's the farmer. He's not. No, it's not a spoiler. He's not going to end up with her in the end unless he tries to.
I'll stop interrupting you.
Just keep writing. Yeah. Keep drawing your characters, Evan.
Oh, he sounded like my mom just there. Oh.
I just want to be friends, and everything I say
Oh
is
my
gonna...
God! I just got my whole childhood in one sentence.
You actually see Evan as he's drawing, just like line comes across because he has a PTSD moment. Sorry, Mac. If he continues to chase, if he doesn't chase it, he's going to go just be a farmer. He decides this is what gives him the fuel to join the trials, correct?
Yeah. That's the nudge, for sure. Chase the girl.
We're watching this main character on his quest to become a neophyte, from aspirant to neophyte, going through trials. So that's one of the main stories that we're following. Side love interest. Are you willing to talk about what's going on behind the scenes to some people that could be interested?
Yeah, for those of you that are here, yeah, sure, we can talk a little bit about this. I'm writing this in, there's gonna be like 22 chapters, and I'm writing this in chapter 18. So if you don't want to hear this and you're planning to check out the novel and you like to experience things as they're intended in the book, maybe you don't listen. But I'll try to keep a big picture in a way that would deepen the story rather than spoil anything. What'd you say?
No, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. So these 99 people are brought to Bastunia. So now we're at year 0. For the first 6 years, I mean, these people are brought from a planet where everybody is in constant awareness of their life's purpose. And I found in my own life, when I am living in my purpose, I have nothing to prove. I don't judge other people. I can just love people. It's great. And for 6 years, this is how they live. Nothing to prove, just supporting each other. But then this planet has something that their old planet didn't have, Azigra. And so the people that are constantly having to ward off these Azigra are becoming more and more scarred. Actually, there eventually will become this faction of soldiers called the Escarab. That's what my name is today. The scarred ones, and they're really the people that drive division. You know, Azigra are, but and so about year 6, the Azigra start to attack. At year 8, the mind tribe, the people that the academics that we're just talking about, they leave. A couple years later, Argus's oldest brother is born, and then for the next 10 years, it's like kind of the. I was gonna say something that's a spoiler. I don't want to say. Hang on, backing up, changing gears.
Can I at least come in from what I'm following right now? Yeah. For the first 6 years, things hunky dory, going well. You know, living in oneness. These Azigra start attacking more and start doing their job. Right. I think a lot of people here just. It's one of the things we're going to talk about soon in the story is like an Azigra's true purpose is not just utter massacre. What a Zigra's true purpose is to separate someone from their calling, right? Like try to imagine being so close to knowing what you're here for and then being ripped away from it. So that's an Azigra's true purpose. Just incite chaos. They do that, and these mind people, I should say the mind tribe, they're like, we don't want any part of this, we leave.
Yeah, and then eventually there's another tribe that's the Heart tribe. You love Kung Fu Panda, Dylan, and so I think in some ways there's going to be a reflection of Kung Fu Panda in this trilogy, you know, except not in the same order. It's like the first book is really about overcoming the mental challenges. The second book is going to become more about overcoming challenges of the heart, and then the third and final is kind of embodying all of these things together and redeeming what has become fractured into something unified once more, in order to fight the big bad, Titan Azigra. So by the time Argus comes along, the unity is like on its last leg, and something happens around Argus's birth. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and so everybody fractures off into their own little corner. That's what's happening in the broad world. Meanwhile, Azigra they're becoming more common. They're kind of identifying that this planet has things for us to tear apart. So the Azigra problem isn't going away, and the mind tribe kind of thinks, hey, we can hunker down, we can isolate, we can hide out, we can do what we need to do. Maybe we can do this forever. And spoiler alert, they can't.
So in a story like this, not only are we following this young man, like adolescent man, we're following him trying to make something of himself in the Sophistra to become a celebrant and maybe one day an originator. And we're watching him go through the trials, but we're also behind the scenes watching kind of how we're getting to this like boiling point of, hey, we've been safe from these Azigra for a while doing our own thing, no longer. So we're starting to see the big threat loom in the area of the Sophistra. Is that true? Is that what I'm getting?
It's perfect. Yeah, it is.
And with this, so
what are
okay,
your thoughts so far, Matt, on Argus and Rastin?
Yeah. So when Rastin is at this stage in Argus's life, Rastin's probably a little smaller than this.
Okay.
I think something happens early on in the book that requires Argus to carry Rastin almost everywhere, and it's doable. You know, he's tucked in its shell. Like maybe it's 80% this size.
I was going to say it's kind of simple when you're doing it this way, because then you don't have to change anything. It's just minimize the picture that we have.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't consider them to scale at this point. It's really just laying down the design. But that's very, very fair feedback.
This is good. Yeah, and while he is like a explorer mariner, I'm gonna picture him on land being able to, you know, squirrel around. So he's got very fin-like appendages right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are going to need to be able to take him on land, possibly a little more easily.
Got it.
So he's not as like fish out of water if he's on land. He'd be able to scoot around.
Yeah, so he's not
but
like a
swim.
sea turtle build.
Yeah, it'd probably be like what, tortoise but with webbed feet? Is that what you think?
Tortoise with webbed feet. Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm excited to see what Evan draws here.
Yeah.
And then what are your thoughts on Argus? I'll say from a reader standpoint after, but you're the one that's really envisioning this, and then we're going to answer. I'll have you answer one of Casey's questions here.
Yeah.
Flamingo leg.
Huge. Yeah. One giant leg. It's like a gooey duck. I like Argus. Yeah, no, Argus looks good. One of the reasons that you'll
I'll figure it out.
There you go. Yeah, I like it. One of the reasons that you see him coming into him having opportunities, like, the reason that he ends up being favored by the god later is because Sun Wukong, who the deity is based on, is a very just rebellious spirit, you know. And later on in the story, like in Joan's time, when nobody's getting beasts anymore, the people immediately think people aren't getting callings anymore. It's like, we got to go search for the missing god, which tells me that later on the god is going to be relatively present in their lives. It's going to be someone that they think about quite often, and he actually will make not so much a presence in this first book, but you'll see the god quite a bit in books 2 and 3. And Argus is going to have a good relationship with the god. And so I think to your question, Argus has this sort of like lean back, a little bit of a cockiness to him, a little bit of a rebellious side eye that he's throwing right now. And I think that works.
As a reader of this, because I just get to be along for the ride. And I think right now it's just me and Bella. Maybe I think Matt Seitz is also reading this a little bit. As a reader, this is exactly what I thought Argus would look like. I think he's tone, but not like super buff. But I would like to use the word wiry. If you want to say it with me, wiry.
Wiry.
All we can say about our best offensive weapon is he's wired. I know he's bald. I know he's got like that rebellious, because as we're seeing him go through the trials, you can almost see him be that, second swear word here, like that little shit as he goes through, where it's almost like, I'm going to win these and I'm going to do it my way. And I think we're going to see the ups and downs of that, just like in any story. But it's such a cool rebellious look that we have here. And I've always kind of wondered more. I'm like, what is Rastin looking like? When I saw his head and his shell, like we said, we can figure out. I think it's making more sense with the feet now. It's cool seeing this, because for me, it's very difficult for me to like paint this picture in my mind and be like, oh, it's exactly what it is. So when I can see something that's drawn by Evan, I'm like, yes, yes, that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. So I love it as a reader. I'd be curious, Bella, as you go through it, what your thoughts are. But or is this Bella actually?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So you also get another reader's perspective here. Casey wants. Casey wants to. I believe it's Casey wants to know. What's the turtle's
The turtle
power? We're
power.
talking. We're talking turtle power. We're talking about beast abilities in the Facebook group this week. We've talked about internal, external talent. We've talked about we're starting to get into auric talent, right? Auric projectile, auric control. I'd love, Matt, if we could also pull up Casey's depiction of auric projectile.
Yeah,
But
sure.
out of all of the sources, talent, auric, transformation, and creation, what source does Rastin's ability fall within?
Talent, internal talent.
Internal talent. Okay, so could you describe it a little bit more? Because I feel like out of all of the ones I depicted, talent's the hardest one to like
Yeah.
somewhat describe. Like, what would be like? Explain it for us.
So you'll look at. I'm going to play this in the background. Maybe you'll be able to hear this. Maybe not. Can you hear this?
Oh,
a little bit.
very little.
I wish we could choose different music, but so he's got this hand pan steel drum on his back. You can kind of see if you can picture a hand pan drum. You'll see these little notches, these little nodes, and each of these nodes on a hand pan drum will play a distinctly different note. And so what Argus does is there a hand pan in this song?
This daydream is this kind of working or no?
Sure, this works. I'm waiting for the hand pan, but
there's no hand pan. I don't think they have one with hand pan. I'll stop it.
Okay, cool. And so what Argus does is he'll sit down with Rastin on his lap and he'll play the music that kind of captures the tempo of his environment. And at times he will lose himself in the music. And when he loses himself in the music, something happens. I really don't want to say. I'm not going to say, but something happens in this moment that has to do with an internal experience that is triggered by getting into his musical flow state. So I won't say, but
yeah, it's a question. It's one of the questions. If we kind of bring it back, because we have 10 more minutes here as we kind of wind down. I'd like to get a little bit into the beast abilities that we've been talking. I have a question for the people that are here, and then also Matt. But anything else you want to talk about when it comes to Argus Rastin or this upcoming origin novel?
Yeah, just to put a bow on it, and then we'll move on. The Mind tribe that he's surrounded by, so they left. They split off 12 years before he was born. He kind of him and his brother got brought to this tribe to be raised by people. Just, it was going to be the safest place for him. And yet, as he grows up, he's growing up in academia, and he's got this turtle that, like, what is it good for? He plays music on its back, and music is kind of looked at as this thing that's just sort of lesser than, it's a distraction. There's no academic value to this. We're not trying to bring music into society. We're trying to bring philosophy and mathematics and all these other things. Some of the other subjects are like amalgamations of multiple subjects. Agritecture is one of the things they're trying to bring. And so Argus's story is one of being isolated just by virtue of who he is and not feeling like he has a sense of belonging. He's got to fight doubly hard to have his value recognized. And the larger story is also he's got to connect with his calling, even though people are like, hey, the fastest way to get disapproval from an originator is for them to see you playing music. He has to play music in order to accomplish the in order to eventually do the thing at the end of the story that will win. It's hard to talk about this without spoiling anything.
Yeah, I think. Is it cool if I give? Is it cool
Yeah, please.
I was doing a podcast today for my main 9 to 5, and we talk about people that got outside their comfort zone to do what they really, really love. And it's one of the questions we talk about is first thing we talk about is tell us your story, and then tell us knowledge from what you do now so they can promote themselves. And then but it ends with, why did you decide to get uncomfortable to do this, right? And why do you think other people don't get uncomfortable to really lean into it? The guy I talked to today is building a business to help mid-level managers become ready have the skills and the hard skills and soft skills needed to apply for executive positions. He did it for a while. He was worked with government contracting companies and corporate America and understood everything that's needed. And he's he saw a bunch of people progress that were just shady. He's I know you can do it the right way. And did well, made good money, and he got diagnosed with cancer back in 2022, leukemia. And he's not that old of a man. I think he's probably late 30s, maybe early to mid 40s. And his doctor's starting to say hey, I'd plan out your will. You have a couple of weeks. And he had this moment of holy shit. Third swear word, sorry. And he said he was getting chemo, and they call it the red devil is the type of leukemia or the type of chemo he had to do, where it goes right to your a vein that's connected to your heart because it's the biggest vein. And as he's going through this, he has this moment of he said the 3 things that came to him were treat every day as a gift, forgive whoever you need to forgive, forgive any person that's wronged you along the way, and then you're destined to teach. Right, and this is a guy that's corporate America, making really good money, led a multi-billion-dollar team. And as he goes through this, he just had this knowing that he's no, I'm gonna get through this. And 2 weeks later, the doctors say, hey, you have this rare gene that allows you to be able to work with this chemo treatment. We might be able to get 6 months out of it. He eventually goes through chemo, rings the bell, and starts this company. And he's when I realized that not everybody lives, I'm not going to live forever, I'm going to die, I decided to fully lean into what I feel called to do. So the only reason I say that is, 1, I think it's an awesome story. But 2, it's I almost see this guy in a situation like Argus. This guy's called to teach and to teach people to show your authentic self, have the audacity to think bold so you can be where we're at. And he's in corporate America, where a bunch of high ups keep people under their thumb. He's in an area where he's no, it is the exact antithesis of what he feels called to do. And when that kind of hit him, he's my job is to lean into my calling every single day and to make mistakes, learn from the people that came before us. So it's I see that with this main A story of Argus is a guy that wants to fully lean into his calling, and he's in a situation that is detrimental to it. And we have to see, but he's progressing in it. We have to see what does this guy decide to do? Does he lean into his environment and just follow where he's supposed to go and do well with that? Or does he decide to break free and lean into what he feels destined to do? Play as a musician in a town full of philosophers. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, well said.
Hopefully I didn't do any disservice to the book. It's an incredible book. So we are launching this as a reward for our Kickstarter. If you back, I believe at the $20 stage, at the $15 stage, you get a digital copy of this book, which is just robbing us for how much you're going to get. It is a 23-page or 23-chapter book novel that's going to be 250 pages, 300 pages. You think when you're done?
300 something. Low 300s.
You'll also get chapter 3 and the prose of our current comic. That will come around April, May. That you'll be receiving that. Good news there, Matt, if you actually want to change back to the other page that you have. Good news on the Kickstarter front. we've hit our goal. We hit our goal of $5,000 backing. Literally, I think last night or this morning, we've had at least one person back every single day we've run the Kickstarter. So the first 10 days, we've had a person back every day. Thank you so much. Matt's going to put a link in the comments as well. If you know of anybody that aligns with our message to teach through fiction and to incite imagination and creativity for young kids, you see what we do to have kids create their calling, share the message. This is a collaborative, creative platform. We had no idea we were going to do we had no idea. Thank you. We had no idea we were going to do a novel when we first started this. But Matt had an idea, and we said, hey, let's collaborate together and let's run with it. We had no idea we were going to turn paths into beast types, but we ran with it. We created an interactive quiz. We had no idea we were going to do beast abilities, but we ran with it. And now we have people in our community, Casey, drawing his example of auric projection. I can't think of a better just like picture or graphic of this is what auric projection could be with your calling. Obviously, he leans into the cat analogy that I gave, makes a way sweeter cat. And this
Can we see yours?
Projection. No, I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to do that. But actually, can you both? All right, there's mine, which I think is also good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Thank you. He's projecting. He's shooting at that guy. He's yelling. He's running away from him.
I thought it was like a Schrodinger's cat analogy or illustration. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Casey did say...
Pretty sure that's not how physics works.
I first sent this to Casey. In my defense, Casey goes, this is illustrated well, meaning I knew exactly what you're talking about by the drawing. And I was like, Casey, you don't have to rub my ego. I know it's bad. He goes, well, it is crude, but I could tell what you're trying to get across with the picture. And that was, oddly enough, was a compliment to me. So Thank you, Casey. I do my best. I really want to be. Sometimes I just feel like I'm an aspiring creative in a sea of like really good artists of words and pictures. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But I'm here and I can talk on these things.
Just keep rallying the troops, bud.
keep doing the thing that both your other creatives hate, which is keep your arms at
inspiration. Beardick inspiration.
So if you would like to support, feel free. But the bigger thing is if you know anyone that would be interested in what we're doing. The true mission of this Kickstarter is to find our audience, is to really find our audience and who this resonates with. As we continue to create children's books and more novels and TTRPGs, we want to find that tribe that vibes with our message. So feel free to pass on the information. If you send that link to a friend, you can always say, hey, zero pressure to back. I always love saying that to people. We do not care if people don't back. Zero pressure. But the video does talk about our story and what we're trying to build. Feel free to pass it on to them. Coming back, we have Argus. We have Rastin.
Whatever. Whichever.
Okay, I'm gonna go Rastin.
I told you that the name was derived from the words tin and Rastafarian, so Rastin is how I've always said it.
Yeah. So we got Argus, we have Rastin. They will be put up on our Instagram page probably next week. We will continue to put up pictures of beast ability. So if you'd like your kids or yourself, you want to draw them and see if you can do something like Casey or something not like Casey, something more like me. Feel free to do it. Let's have some fun with creativity. That's it for today because we're 5 minutes past. Happy birthday to Evan again. Tag him, say happy birthday, Evan. He loves hearing it. Anything from you guys?
You do also get a discount to my shop if you back.
Oh, yeah. You get a discount to Evan's shop, which is a big push we're going to have. We'll put a link in the Facebook community. Evan, you have an owl bear, and you have my
I
favorite,
have
which is
I have a lot of
butterfly.
stuff. No. It's a completely blanket discount on anything you want from the shop. Among
Okay.
them, yeah.
Evan, will you send us that link, and we'll put it in the Facebook group today. Should we put it today, or should we put it at the end of the Kickstarter, because that's when they get the discounts, right?
I don't know. No, it actually stops working at the end of the Kickstarter.
Oh,
The
got it.
idea was you back, you get it, you got to use it before the campaign's done.
And they do that by, is there any specific link they have to click, or is it a promo code?
It's a promo code. You can send it
Perfect.
to any backers.
So if you have backed, reach out to me. I'll send you the promo code and the link. I'll get a couple of pictures from Evan to put into the Facebook group. Support artists, because there's a lot of people right now that are trying to do the exact opposite. Support artists and their work that comes from their head and their heart, and they love doing what they do. So let's keep backing artists. And I love saying keep backing the Kickstarter, because I don't get a dime from it. Everything goes right back to creating Callings for Kids and paying our illustrator team, which is growing. You know who I'm talking to. As we continue to build and continue to make more comics. Matt, any last words from you?
I really got to get going. I got deadlines, but if I had to say one thing, it would be currently where the Kickstarter's at, now funded. I think we're having the ability to work with like 200 kids to basically help them increase their self awareness and their social awareness, basically to see know more deeply their gifts and how they can contribute, how they can give them to the world. So that's really cool that we're able to do that through all of your support. We're fired up about it.
Thank you. I'll let everybody go so we can hit deadlines. Appreciate you all. We will see you in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, we are going to actually spend time. We're going to show you the editing process of some of these beasts. We're going to edit Cade's beasts. We got Ailish. We're going to edit as well. I think there's a few other things. So we're actually going to be able to see Evan's process, not from the very beginning, but halfway through as he makes edits. Feel free to come back, ask any questions you might have there. And thanks again for tuning in. Y'all have a good weekend.